of our auditioning workshop. We're so excited. I'm Abner Genesee. I'm one of the board members here at Colorado Theater Guild and one of the co-leaders in putting together these wonderful workshops. So we're with you online, and we have folks coming in from live as well. And we couldn't be more pleased to have Amelia Morse here to do part 2 of this workshop focusing on musicals. So glad to see you all. We'll see you later. Amelia, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Amelia Morse. Thanks for being here. I'm so happy to see you. So we're going to cover 2 parts tonight. We're going to talk about the musical theater callback, music, obviously with the vocal part, and then dance part. Some musicals don't have dance, some do, and I know it's varying levels. So we're going to go through a lot. I have my water here, so I might have to take a break, get a drink, if that's okay with everybody. If you have questions, I don't know if the chat's open yet, but there definitely will be a Q&A at the end, however works best for you to ask those. Awesome? Cool? Wonderful. Okay. So you got the callback. Do we have the slides up yet?
Yep. No, well, that was my question to you.
Oh, I would, yes, may I have the slides? Sorry. That's my fault. Let me get my slides up. That helps me because I can see them too. Just again, introduction. My name is Amelia Morse. I'm the owner of the Morse Actors Studio. And on your screen, you can see the coloradotheaterguild.org website, and then my website as well, the morseactorsstudio.com. Morse like the code, not the cat. Before I get started, I want to say a quick thank you to the Parsons Theater. We're not in the Parsons Theater. We're actually next to it. We're in one of the community rooms here at the North Glen Theater. There's also known as North Glen Youth Theater. So thank you so much for letting us use your space tonight so that we can present this in person and digitally to our in-person audience that you can't see, but they are here with us tonight as well. So what we'll cover is prepping for a musical theater callback, what you can expect and do at the music and dance callback, but also after the callback, what can you do? Yes, self-care, but there are other things you can do as well, and we will discuss that. So let's get into part 1. So congratulations, you've auditioned and you have been asked to return for a callback. Now what? What do you do now? Go ahead. What do you do? How do you prepare? What should you prepare? What do you wear is always a question I see a lot with musical theater. It's like, what should you wear? And I have more than one answer. And then what do you need to bring with you to that callback? So here's what you can do before the callback. Go ahead, next slide. You have the music in advance. I recommend learn all the parts. Don't focus on just the part you want. Yes, give that your attention. But besides learning all the other characters that you may be possibly asked to speak, to possibly sing for, I recommend if you're an actor that knows that you can sing more than one vocal part, try to learn those as well. Because sometimes it's about putting voices together. I personally am a soprano. I can't harmonize, but I have been asked to. And so the better you can be prepared with that, the better you'll do. People really get hung up on what if I'm too good for the parts I don't want. There is no science, unfortunately, behind that. It's true, it's not true. You really kind of need to think about what you want to do. You get that in the audition form. Are you willing to take any role? It's a gamble. And I wish I, honest to God, had all the answers. But I would say kind of come into yourself and think about, what do I want to take? What is worth my time? But at the same time, be willing to be flexible and open and learn the other parts, because you just don't know. You might find a part that you get into the callbacks and you're like, actually, I really like this. And so if you can learn multiple parts, the better. Don't get stuck on the cast recordings, whether it's like online, like Spotify or YouTube, or even if you do the karaoke soundtracks, because the director wants to hear not only your voice, they want to see what your interpretation of that character is with the music. Also, key changes could be a thing. We don't know what version they may or may not be doing. And that's kind of one of my other notes is know the version they're doing if you can at all possible, because there are more than one version out there of different musicals. So if at all possible, really check the call sheet. You know, if it's not listed there, contact them, contact the stage manager, ask them. Somebody will know, but really make sure that you know which part they're doing, because sometimes there can be even a change in the lyrics. And I know a lot of actors really, and I totally respect that. You want to be memorized. You don't want the music. Have the music in your hand just in case. Just in case. You know, just in case there's a lyric change, there's something different, there's something that you prepared for, and it's like, this is not what I did. That way you can be on your feet and you can change all that. You also may be singing with a pianist, and it might be an actual old-fashioned piano with strings, or it could be a keyboard. Again, you may or may not know, but that could be very different than, again, the cast recording, as my mom would call it, like taped music. It can be very different and can maybe change and alter how you approach that. So the more you can really kind of change up your prep and try different things, the better you can do. If at all possible, work with a fellow actor or work with a coach if you already have one. You know, if you're using a coach on a regular basis, or you have a coach that you like, you know, tap in with them, be like, hey, I need a 30-minute, a 1-hour coaching session. I want to review a few things, whether it be an acting coach that has specialization with musical theater or a vocal coach. Every musical is different. There are some musicals that really focus, and this is kind of going to another point I have, is some are very character focused. It's not necessarily about the talent of having to be able to sing well. It's more about the characterization and the acting behind it. Some other musicals are very much like technique, technique, technique. You need to be able to sing well. And so going in, maybe really kind of determine, is it one or both? You know, it could be one or the other. And, you know, how can you use that? You know, what do you want to make that to be your focus for your callback? Another thing is, it's like a science for some reason that you will probably be sick. I don't know how that magically happens, especially in summertime, but you could possibly be sick. And so do what is best for you in terms of preparation. Obviously, water. Water is your friend. Vocal rest. Don't overdo it. Really save what you have until, I would say, the moments where you know you're singing by yourself. Prepare as much as possible, but take it easy at the same time. Now, what about, go ahead, next slide, when you don't have the script, when you don't have the music ahead of time, how does that work? It's the next slide. Yes, that's okay. Oh, I didn't put that slide in there. I'm sorry. I didn't put that slide in there, but I'm going to talk about it. If you don't have the music ahead of time, sometimes it might be a brand new musical that someone has written. If you can, what do you know about the story? Maybe there's clips out there. Possibly if you can get something in advance, ask for it. If you know if there's something similar in style, you could use that as well for your callback. I always tell actors, if you take notes with you to a callback, that helps as well. That will help you, because when we get in there, the nerves kick in. And so any kind of notes or information you can take with yourself, do that. And as I said, you do not have to be memorized. It's not a bad thing to want to be memorized, especially if like that's part of your prep and that helps you really build into the character and do what you need to do. But I still recommend just take the music they offer you and have it there always in case. You never know. Okay, now what to wear. Thank you. What to wear for singing and dancing. Ideas, you could wear the same outfit for your audition. You might even choose, especially for the dance part, you might want to wear something athletic, or I kind of call it loungewear. There may or may not be time between the dancing callback and the singing callback to change. So it is okay to go into your singing callback with your dance wear on. It is totally fine with doing that. One thing I do recommend to people who do sing and dance, shoes. Shoes are important. You're standing on your feet. So, and that's a quick change sometimes for people, sometimes not, but if it is for you, if you have a pair of shoes that you feel more comfortable singing in versus dancing, have those in your bag, have those on hand. But really, it's not necessarily about your appearance in this case. It's really about your skills. It's about what you're bringing to the table, or at least I believe it should be. That's, again, my opinion. If you're doing something like a period piece, consider what type of clothes you might wear. A skirt, a dress, type of pants, type of shoes, especially when it comes to the singing and the dancing. That could maybe have an impact on your choices. It could also have an impact on how you carry yourself. Shoes, definitely, when it comes to dance, are very, very important that you have the proper footwear. And I believe that's a slide in the future, and I'll get to that in a hot second. No, you're good. Yeah, we're going on to vocal warm-ups. You're totally fine. Warming up. You need to warm up your vocals and you need to warm up your body, because you're going to use both and they're going to be used differently. There's no particular order that you need to do these things in. You do what's best for you. A lot of people find if they do their body warm-ups, it helps them really prep with their voice. Some people like to prep with their voice before they do their body. Some like to do a mix. It really is what you want to do. But I do recommend, stretching, kind of get the blood flowing, sip water, don't chug it, because your body does not know that you have an audition or you have a callback. Your body's going to be like, there's a lot of water here. I think it's time that we go visit the room. So I always recommend people sip, 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 especially if you're one of those individuals that you like to drink throat coat, or you're like me, or like, I love my hot water, my honey and lemon combination, that sort of thing. Sip the water, sip the water, sip the water. I know a lot of vocal coaches have things about, it needs to be room temperature, it needs to be cold, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. I say, you know yourself, you know your body. Do what's best for you, truly. Do what's best for you. But also do a mental warm-up. It's not on the slide, but I find it really helpful if I'm going through these things. I really kind of just help remind myself about what I have done and what I'm bringing and really what I want to do. How do I see this character, or even characters if I'm called back for one, or I'm interested in more than one, and really think about that while I'm going through all the things. So now we're going to get to the actual callback. I'm going to take a sip real quick. Introduce yourself to people. You don't have to be best friends, but it is helpful maybe to say, hey, hello, my name's Amelia, and share your pronouns if you want. Hey, I'm Amelia, I'm she, her. It's great to meet you. I look forward to working with you, whatever you choose to say. And whether it's you or someone else, some folks are like, I want to be chatty Cathy and I want to talk. And other people are like, great to meet you. I want to focus on my energy. And that's great. There's no set protocol, but it is helpful, like I say, to just kind of chat, familiarize yourself with the space if you have that opportunity, look around, just take it all in. But even like I say, just a quick, hey, how's it going? I'm, really looking forward to working with you today. It could really help. You never know. These individuals are people you're probably going to be working with. So wouldn't you like to make a good impression? Now my favorite part. The accompanist and the music director. I'm a little biased for this one because my mother is actually a pianist and an accompanist, so I hope I do her proud. But these individuals can actually be two separate people, or they could be one the same. And they also may strongly have a part of the casting process. Their jobs are pretty quick. They may not have a whole lot of time to spend with individuals. And that's why I say do the prep work in advance. The accompanist might literally be like, here's the music, we're going to run this twice and go. And I'm going to point, and I'm going to point, and I'm going to point, and I'm going to point. At the same time, don't be afraid to raise your hand if you have a question. Other people may have the questions as well. So don't be afraid to ask. Again, like I say, your interactions, I say maybe from a distance, because they probably have a large group of individuals. You'll probably be in the same room. And as I said, the accompanist might be doubled as the music director, and they may be two separate individuals. You don't know. But their job is important, and they're not going to be really necessarily able to teach you the music fully. They might run in a few times and be like, okay, and now we're going to go. And with that said, we're going to go into the two types of music callbacks. Oh, I did talk about learning the music. Yeah, learn the music as much as you can in advance, the best you can. Do you need to know how to read music? No. Does it help? Yes. Is it necessary? Again, the answer is actually no. You don't need it. It does help in some sense for me personally, because I do read music. I feel like it gives you an opportunity to really understand the tempo, the keys, the key changes, those sort of things. But if you don't know it, that's okay. That's why I say again, just learn it in advance, listen, use your audible, your audible skills. Sorry. I had to have a moment to think about what I was saying for a moment. But it's not necessarily a must have. It's a great tool to have in your toolbox, but it's not necessarily like, oh my gosh, you can't read music. You can't be a part of this. No, you can't be. Now we go to the next part, solos. I call it singing alone or solo work. There is no real what comes first is kind of like chicken and the egg. It really just depends on the callback and how they do it. You may have at the callback, they may do solos separately. Like they may say, okay, we're gonna do all solo work. They may say we're gonna do a mix of solo work and group work. There's really no how do I say it? Formula. But what I do tell actors with solo work is you need to be prepared to sing in front of other people. It's a callback. It's not like an audition where they kind of, you go in, you go out, you go in, you go out. You're going to probably be in one group. And again, it's going to be like, now you go and you go and you go and you go. And so a little trick I like to do for myself and other people, it does not matter how confident I feel in this. I stick myself in the middle or I stick myself towards the end. I don't want to be the last person singing, but I certainly don't want to be in the first group. I want to give myself a little time to give myself that extra moment to hear it a few more times. Because like I said a few minutes ago, they might run it twice and be like, okay, and now we're going to go and everybody's going to do solo work. And it's like, yeah, I would like to have a moment. I would like to have a second. And so I just recommend middle towards the end. Personally, I don't feel like it's going to make a huge difference. They're going to like you. They're going to like you. If you have that opportunity where they're like, does anybody want to sing again? Or does anybody want to try again? Don't be afraid to speak up and say yes. Don't be afraid to speak up and say yes. I would also say, take some deep breaths, make that connection with the accompanist, maybe put yourself in a position where you're close that you can see them and make eye contact. So you can have a bit of a moment to say, can I have a moment? Can I have the first pitch? Okay. You don't want to drag it out. But at the same time, you shouldn't have to feel rushed. I get that it's a callback and they have time, they need to get things moving, but don't be afraid to advocate for yourself for a moment. Again, I know you've heard everybody else sing it, but just take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. That way you get some blood flowing to the brain and you can help reset and you don't feel like you're replicating everyone else you just heard. With that also said, I know with some musicals riffs, everyone's a mixed emotion on that one. I say it depends on the musical. There are some where you can really kind of put your own style to it. And if they have indicated that's okay, go for it. Show what you have. Some of your more classics where it's like not really a part of the music, it's like, it works, it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't like to look at things as like right and wrong. I looked at more as, is it going to work? Does it add any kind of flavor or spice to it? How can you put your own signature? So if you're feeling confident in doing that, go for it. Have fun. Now to the part of callbacks about working with a partner or with a group. So sometimes it could be duets, trios, ensembles. And with this section, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm just checking my notes. Just make sure I'm on the right spot. Yes. Part of the callback process is finding the right fit. There are many factors that really can go into what this is. Every director is different. Every show has different wants and different needs. It really could be a combination of voice parts and connecting those because again, there's something very specific. It could be a matter of character types. It could be more of a visual thing. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. But the one thing, I know I'm leaning in on this one a little bit because for me, this is important. I don't want to sound critical, but at the same time, I want you to do your best. I really do. I want you to do your best, but don't upstage people in this moment. This is an ensemble. Work with them. Have them work with you. If they upstage you, that's on them. You can't control everybody. But I want you to focus on just truly giving it your all, doing your best, and showing what you not only bring to the character and the choices, but what do you bring as an actor to the table to work with? And let that be a part of your callback and be a part of your choices and what you do. And you may find other singers that you're like, I really, really work with this person well. And so I'm going to take a quick question on this one. Yes.
What if I don't know what upstage means?
Upstage. Okay. So thank you. That's a great question. Upstaging, taking the light, being a diva. I'm using different words here, but like really overpowering, or really taken away from this ensemble. So let's say it's a duet and you're vocally maybe much louder than your other fellow actor. And not to say it's not on purpose, but if you know that your voice is going to be stronger, see if you can adjust to fit with your fellow actor. Or maybe it's like, I don't want to say be too big. I don't want to close people in, but it's ensemble. It's a callback. It's about trying to find people and how you work with each other. So don't be a jerk. In a nutshell, I'm just going to be quite honest. Just don't be a jerk. I got some few other choice words, but I won't use them because I believe there are children in the space, and I understand I'm a mom. But yeah, connect with people. Don't be a diva. And I get not everybody's going to be a perfect fit for one another. I understand that we're all at different levels of our training and what we do. But if you can try to work with people and collaborate, because again, you just don't know. You just don't know what the director is going to see and how the music director is going to see things and what they're going to like on the outside. It's going to look like they're like, man, that was awesome. And you're probably like, it wasn't? Was it? You just don't know. So try, try to do what you can to work with your partner, especially ensemble. Again, every musical is different, has its needs, and what, you can identify. Great. Okay, next, please. Taking direction. Sometimes there might be a director that will give you directions or redirections. It may work, it may not work. Don't take it personal is the one thing I would say, especially kind of circling back to when I talked about riffing and adding, flavor and stuff to the song. It's not necessarily always about you. It could be just they want to see, how do you take direction? How can you do something different? How well does the director work with you? Especially the music director. That's their baby. That's their part of the audition and what they're doing. It's okay. And so they might just want to see, like, again, how do you can you change things up? Can you be a little different? And if you have a question, ask. Don't be afraid to ask, especially if like they ask you something, you're kind of like, I don't quite understand. Could you word that a little differently? I'm also an intimacy director, so I hear the question of like, I have a stupid question. No, you don't. You have a question. You have a question. What's the question? They need to know if their communication is working as well. And so again, don't be afraid to just say, I'm not really sure what that means. Could you kind of clarify for it? But at the same time, a callback is not the time to ask for feedback on your actual moment. They don't have time for it. They're not teachers. They're not coaches. They're directors. Nothing personal against directors. Okay. I think we're now to dance callback. Are we to dance callback? We are. All right. This is important. Now we're going to shift gears and I'm going to take a drink of water so I can shift gears on this one as well. I'm going to reset. I'm going to lean in again for this one. Know what type of dance you're doing. This is so critical. This is so important to know ahead of time what type of dancing you'll do, so you know what type of proper footwear to bring. If you're not sure, ask ahead of time. I can't emphasize it enough. Dancing is movement, and it's about your safety as well. Your safety is important. Your safety is vital. Also, I would say your shoes need to be cleaned and preferably not worn outside the studio. Some spaces, especially dance studios, have rules, and trust me, the stage manager Or you can always tell the choreographer because they'll be the person like literally scolding you about the rules of it. Follow the rules, please. Please follow the rules. Respect the dance studio, respect the space. And as I say, most importantly, have the proper footwear. I'm going to circle back now to what to wear. Honestly, wear what makes you comfortable. I know that in dance, it's all about the body line, and I understand that, but you need to be able to move in your clothes. And so find things that fit properly, preferably no holes in them, but you know, you want to be able to move and feel comfortable in what you do. If you are not a dancer, we call you an actor who moves well. And so know what you know what you don't know. If you know going in that's like, I don't know how to tap, find the group of non-tappers, let the dance choreographer know, and have them put you in it. There's no shame in it. There is no shame. Not every character in a musical dances. I have done lots of musicals that have dancing in it, and guess what? Yours truly did not have to dance, but I still had to go through the dance callback because even though they may be looking at you for a non-dancing role, you're still part of the process. You're still part of the process. They still want to see if you can dance because you never know. There might be that big finale number and they're like, we're going to give you like literally 2 8 counts of this little thing because we think it'll be cute to make your character dance. And you're like, okay, okay. You never know. You really don't know. But don't be ashamed. If you are very interested, though, in a specific type of musical that requires dance, or even musicals that require specific types of voice, I would encourage you to seek out lessons, seek out private dance lessons, seek out private vocal lessons. You know, there's no shame in continuing to learn and add those skills into your toolbox as an actor. But just understand, there are certain musicals that they have to have these specific tools. They need actors to have those specific tools in their toolbox to make the show happen. How are we doing? Good? Are we good? Awesome. I moved that slide wrong. Next one. I said be ready. Not a dancer. I did that one. After the callback. There we go. Thank you. You did great. I hope you know that. I'm not being cheesy and silly. You really did do great. But now what? Now what do we do after the callback? Give yourself some TLC. Truly. You have worked hard, and that looks different from everybody. It could be going and get an ice cream cone. It could be calling a friend. It could be just, you need 5 minutes just to browse social media. There's no shame in what you need to do. You'd be like, I need a pizza. I need a hot shower. I need to drive around. Whatever it is, I need a soda. Exactly. You need a soda. I get it. You know, that's what I'm going with. I saw your gesture. That's what I'm going with. But truly, what do you need for your self-care? I also recommend to people take notes. Either what works for you, a notebook, an app on your phone. I have an app that also will write my notes and record my voice at the same time. I like to do it when it's kind of fresh in my head. It's not to be critical of yourself. I find it helpful to be like, this is what we did in the callback. This was how they did it. This is what they asked of me. This is what was expected. Because you never know if you might see a pattern in callbacks, or you might take that information and think, okay, I got it or I didn't get it. What could I do different? What could I do different for next time? What do I feel like I need to do differently? What do I feel like I learned for the future? Don't be critical. Don't be hard on yourself. Truly, there are lots of reasons that go into why certain people get put in a show versus not. And sometimes it could be our skills and technique. And sometimes it could just be, it was between you and this other person, and you're 4'11" and they're 5'6", and the leading man is 6'3", and they don't have stilts in your size. I'm sitting down, but yeah, you know, it really could be that, you know, but again, don't overthink it. I have a question. Yes.
Is there a second callback? And if so, do I prepare for it any differently than the first time?
Ooh, a second callback. Sometimes yes and no. If there is a second callback, it generally is probably going to be very, very specific and more intimate. And so for that secondary callback, it's probably gonna be a smaller group of individuals. It's gonna run very similarly to the first one in regards to reading, singing, those sort of things, but I would treat that almost like a mini performance in that case, because at this point, if you have made it to that level, and I'm going to pause on that moment to say, sometimes directors will tell you if there is or isn't. It's very rare that I've seen that secondary callback, but even with the first callback, I would almost, again, treat it like a little mini performance. What are you going to bring? How do you interpret this character? You know, how do you take the notes from the director? But if there is that second round of callbacks, I would definitely treat it almost like a mini performance. With that said, would I dress up? Not unless the director told me to. I personally wouldn't. I feel like you need to focus more on your choices instead of like trying to fit what you think the image, the exterior of that character should be. Because we don't know. Unless you have heard the director say, I really want this actor with a very polished look, or I really want this character looking, you know, very European. I don't know, you know, I'm just kind of throwing examples, but it's like, I really am looking for a very specific thing. No, just focus on your character choices of what you want to do. Is there any good time to ask the director for feedback? No. Directors may or may not give feedback unless you have a close relationship with the director. You may or may not get that. And so personally, I feel like if you know someone part of the production team, if you're friends with them and you know you're out for coffee, you can get that sort of feedback. But generally, it's not something that's really given in that circumstance. But if you feel like you're kind of hit in a rut, I would recommend connect with a coach, connect with more than one coach, and see what they are all saying. Is there an overlap happening? You know, if you feel like, you know what, I get so far and I'm just not getting cast. Get more than one opinion. I'm treating this almost like medical, but truly, one person's opinion does not necessarily mean it's the universal opinion. That's why I say get multiple opinions, multiple perspectives from colleagues, coaches, wherever you can, and distance them out a little bit, you know, just to kind of give yourself some time to process. So, yep, take some notes. Don't overthink it. You gave it everything you got, and you're human, and you did a great job. You truly did. Getting to the callback is the opportunity for them to take people that they saw at the audition and see how they all work with one another and what can they make with you and other individuals. If you'd like to learn more about me in the Morse Actor Studio, there's a QR code. And last slide. We got one more. Oh,
That was it.
that was it. My slide didn't go through. Okay, we'll have to go back to the one with Colorado's Colorado Theater Guild.org website. But definitely check out coloradotheaterguild.org for more information about future workshops that they will be hosting with other individuals besides myself. So thank you for being here. Thank you.
Q&A.
Q&A. I think Abner wants to say something first. No? Okay. All right, Q&A.
Does anybody have any questions?
I don't bite. Actually, I will end with this. This was one moment actually I forgot, but I did have in my original one with plays is about I tell people I'm an intimacy director and intimacy coordinator. Boundaries. Check with your fellow actor. I know with comes to musical theater, more the dance, less with the music, but sometimes actors want to touch each other. Don't touch anybody. Check with them, especially again, I know if you're doing a duet or you're doing ensemble pieces, you don't have to touch each other to really sell the character or the choices. In dance auditions, it's very individualistic. I have never really seen in my career so far a dance call that involves any kind of like two-partner dancing. That would probably be something the more advanced callback if that was actually something needed. But again, you can go over boundaries of touch and levels of touch with each other in those moments.
Does anyone have any questions?
Comments? Yes.
I have a question about before the audition,
Mhm.
when you're kind of meeting and greeting.
Mhm.
How do I put this? Are there sometimes people like who are not actors, but they're with the production,
Okay.
kind of observing like how you are in a space? Do you know what I mean? Like they're trying to kind of just see how you, or is that usually in the room? I just wonder if sometimes, you know,
If there's observers that they're not part of the directing team, the people in the room are going to be with you as the director. If there's an assistant director or AD, obviously stage management, stage managers, choreographers, music, but intimacy directors and fight choreographers, we're not normally a part of the audition process. There's no need for us to really be in that space. We don't have any call. But in terms of producers, very rarely. Very rarely. You may have an observer of someone who may be like learning to become a director. They may be a part of the space and shadowing. So like an intern.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, yes.
What is an intimacy director?
What is an intimacy director? Thank you for that. I love that question. Intimacy director, sometimes also called an intimacy choreographer, works in live performance or theater. Intimacy coordinator is the term used for film and TV. Our jobs are pretty much one and the same, except one, like I say, works in theater, the other one works in film. Our job is to advocate for the actors and tell the story of moments of intimacy. Those could be a kiss, touching, anything of a sexual nature, consensual, non-consensual, complex consent between the characters. We go through a series of boundary exercises with the actors. What I do as an intimacy director, I like to read the entire script from start to finish. I highlight my notes, I pull my notes, I meet with the director, and I'm like, okay, you tell me what is absolutely required based on the script to tell the story, and what is a request, something that you would like to see happen. I share that with the actors. We go through boundary exercises, and I say, tell them, especially with kissing, I'm like, I can make kisses look like they're happening, they're actually not happening. We can tell the story many different ways, unless I feel like it's very important to the story, or it's really hard in the dialogue that there's a comment made like, oh, you're naked. We can try to work with that. I use that as an example. So an intimacy director is the person that stages the moments of intimacy, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, and we support the actor.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there are a few of us here in Colorado that work around the state. It's a new growing field. It started a few years ago. There's many organizations that train for those. And that's what I do as well, besides acting coaching, is intimacy directing. And I enjoy bringing those tools in my toolbox because I share them with my actors about helping them learn about their boundaries, advocating for themselves, because sometimes we don't know until we get there. And I find it very useful to give them language, give them tools. So when they're looking at auditions and they're going to callbacks, they can really determine, is this for me or is this not for me? And in boundaries does not always have to be physical. It could be even a boundary around language or topics as well. So that's kind of what I bring in as an acting coach. I'm like, it's not always about, do you want to kiss this person or touch this person or do these things? What about words? What about topics? What about things like this? Because I've also taught acting and I had students that were like, I don't like to cuss. Great. We won't make you cuss. I will find you pieces that do not have cussing. I don't like particular topics. Great. You know, so that's how kind of my whole worlds interact with each other.
That's cool.
Thanks.
Kind of goes along with the thought that there's something for everybody in theater.
Yes, there really, really is. There really is.
Any other questions, comments?
Expert in the room. This is your opportunity.
Exactly.
You can ask anything.
This isn't really necessarily something with musicals, but have
Mhm.
you worked as an intimacy director staging violence?
I'm about to, yeah.
How would that be different from what you were describing?
With violence, well, sometimes it could be the intimacy director, sometimes it could be a
It's
fight
fight
choreographer
director, yeah,
or the fight director. In my case, what I'm about to do, it's sexual violence.
right.
I I read the script a lot. I have a lot of conversations with the director, and I have individual conversations with the actors about that. And I discuss with them about we talk about in the point of view from the characters and what the characters are doing. I look at what is the power dynamic going on in this situation. What is the choice between the character that is engaging and bringing upon the non-consensual physical violence or sexual violence to this situation. So I try to look at from very deloaded language and from different angles. I don't want to just refer to as the blah, blah, blah scene. I really want to kind of look at some onion layers behind it. And also I go into enrolling the actor into the moment. How do we sustain it? And then find ways to help them de-roll from this moment so that they can walk away and go live their life.
Well, it's even in the musical world, Man of
Yes.
La Mancha,
Yeah,
there's a rape scene.
exactly.
So
Exactly. Or like Spring
do you do?
Awakening, there's complex intimacy as well in that. And so I really try to support the actors. In this case of the show I'm going to take on this fall, I'm offering, to my actors like, hey, let's do a weekly check-in. I'm not a therapist, but let me speak to you, just see how we're doing. Do we need to adjust things? I also support the crew. They're going to be watching this over and over and over, but it's all about the choreography and sticking with kind of that idea, making it look real when it's not real, but it's choreographed. Everybody knows what to expect, what's going to happen next. So we're getting a 2-for-1 special tonight.
there you go. Hey,
Callbacks and intimacy.
well, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Anything else?
Hi, I'm back. Hey, join me in thanking Amelia Morris. We're so glad to have her as an expert here for this wonderful, wonderful workshop. We hope that you got your questions answered and that you got some good information that you can use in the room. Glad to see you all here. I see everybody clapping and responding. It's so good to see you all. This has been great. This has been great. I mean, to get a chance to have experts in the room and share information and resources with us just for being Colorado Theater Guild members is a pretty awesome thing. Look for our next workshop. We're going to be doing another one in December. This one focuses on self-care, which we've talked a little bit about here tonight. But again, join me in thanking Amelia Morse. This has been great. See you later, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. And you can, again, find me on my website, reach out, connect. I don't bite. Especially if you want to learn more about intimacy, definitely let me know. And I can share more with that. Hopefully we will have a future workshop with a panel of intimacy directors, myself and my friends that are also IDs, because we would love to talk more about it in the state of Colorado.
And Nancy, I love your cat.
I love your cat too. Thank you, everyone.
You insist on being part of it.
Yes, they do. Thank you all.